Welcome to the Feel Your Best Formula podcast. Are you over 40 and tired of struggling with your weight, dieting, and constantly feeling like you're starting over with nutrition and fitness? Do you wish you had more energy? Do you want to lose weight and finally keep it off for good? I'm Lil, a certified nutrition coach and former registered nurse. I too have been there, and at the age of 44, I decided I was done with fad diets and chasing a lower number on the scale. I was so tired of constantly starting over and wondering why I couldn't get lasting results. I became a nutrition coach and created the Feel Your Best formula for women who want to build muscle, lose fat, and keep it off for good. If you're ready to build a better relationship with food, the scale, and your body, let's build your formula for feeling your best. If you're new here, make sure to check the episode details for the link to my newbie starter guide. You'll receive an email straight to your inbox with everything you need to start building your Feel Your Best formula. I'm so glad you're here. Now let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to episode 14. Today, I'm really excited to take a bit of a deeper dive into some of the handiest apps for staying organized and on track with your wellness goals. I'll be going over my favorite apps that I currently use, or I may even mention some that I've used in the past. And I'm not going to lie, I love a good app. I'm definitely a sucker for anything that's going to make my life easier, and a well-designed app on your smartphone can absolutely do that. There may be some overlap from previous episodes. I might mention some apps that I've mentioned in the past, but I promise, even if you've listened to every single episode, I'm sharing some new stuff here. So definitely keep listening. One major disclaimer, I'm an Apple girl. I have an iPhone, Apple Watch, I use a MacBook, all the Apple things. Some of the apps are only available on Apple, but a lot of them are available on both. And, even if you can't find the specific app that I mentioned, then you could probably find something comparable in Android. I know that a lot of the Android apps are, mirror images of what you can find on Apple. So I can't guarantee that if you have an Android, you'll be able to download all these apps, but hopefully it sparks some thought in you and you can start thinking of how these apps can make your life easier. I'm also going to share how I completely streamline my grocery lists process to make sure when I get to the grocery store, I don't miss anything. Make sure that when I know I'm running low on something or out of stock on something, I can immediately add it to my grocery list. So I'm going to share a combination of apps that I use to make that happen. Sounds complicated, but I promise you I'm not super techie, and if I can set this up, you can too. So let's start with the big one. This is probably the one that I'm guessing at some point you've probably used an app in some way, shape, or form to track your food. Maybe you've tried just tracking calories. Maybe you've tried tracking macros. Maybe you've been on a special diet where they give you an app to follow the rules of that diet. And I personally have used a few apps along the way. What I'm currently using and absolutely love so much that I bought the lifetime subscription to it is the Lose It app. I absolutely love it. I have the upgraded version and I've been using it about a year. I've been using it since probably February of 2022. And I have tried other apps. I've tried my MyFitnessPal is a big one. And I've tried some other smaller just maybe not as popular brand name apps that I just didn't love the interfaces. Some of them gave me so much information. I don't really feel like I need to know on a daily basis how much potassium I'm eating, and things like that. I really just like to keep things simple, and some of them kind of overwhelmed me with information, or maybe I just didn't find it very user-friendly, and I find the Lose It app very user-friendly. There's a huge library of foods and recipes, and I include my own recipes on there. So it's really easy for me to create the recipe and then know when I'm having a serving of that recipe, how that fits into my daily plan. So maybe some clarity here. You're like, well, what do you track? So I will say many years ago, when I first started counting calories, I did it in a very restrictive way. I think at the time I was trying to eat 1,400 calories because I read a book that told me that's how much I should be eating at the time. And I was trying to track everything, and it was just really stressful, and I gave up on it because the only thing I was focusing on was calories. So it's like I would have a bowl of ice cream and then realize I'd eaten, like that would probably be 20% of my daily calories by having that bowl of ice cream. And so I really hated calorie counting. I just didn't feel like it worked for me. And so I gave up on it. And over the years, I did many other different diet plans with different ways of measuring, different ways of basically creating a calorie deficit without counting calories. And that's what I did over the years. And now I feel like I've kind of come full circle because, yes, I'm coming back to using an app to track my calories. But number one, I'm eating the amount of calories that I should be. I use a calculator to calculate how many calories I should be eating per day. I can recommend the calculator in the book Master Your Macros, or Alan Aragon, who's basically the granddaddy of nutrition science, and he trains elite athletes, and he's just incredible, a wealth of knowledge. And he's really someone that started making discussion of macro counting and things like that more mainstream. And he has an incredible book called Flexible Dieting, and he has a website where he has a calculator you can use. And I will make sure to put the link to that in the show notes. But much to my surprise, when I used this calculator created by scientists, not the diet fitness industry, I realized that I should be eating upwards of 2,000 calories per day. And this is coming off of years of eating between 1,300 and 1,500 calories per day. Sometimes I would be generous and try to eat 1,800 calories per day. Again, this is a range based on the program that I was doing. And then so that was the Portion Fix program. I'll just come right out and say it. The Portion Fix program, I would always eat in Plan A or Plan B. So if you've ever done that program, you know what I'm talking about as far as a calorie range. And then I moved on to 2B Mindset, which I really, really enjoyed. But I started to realize it did have restrictions, and I wasn't necessarily fueling my body properly to match the goals that I had. And I wanted a more concrete way of doing that. So that's how I came upon macros. And I will tell you, I have never been happier. I have never had more freedom with food in my life. And it's just something that is working beautifully for me. And part of that is because the Lose It app has made it really easy for me. And I know I'm, very enthusiastic about it and, gushing over it. But I promise you, I'm not sponsored. I'm not being paid to tell you this. I'm just sharing from my heart, from my own experience, that this form of tracking has actually created so much food freedom for me. Now, If you were to go and be on a really restrictive calorie level, then you might not feel that food freedom. But because I'm eating in maintenance, meaning I'm not trying to gain or lose weight, right now I'm trying to build muscle. So I need to eat. You cannot build muscle and be eating in a calorie deficit. It depends on, disclaimer, it depends on the person, but because I don't have, I have a good, decent body composition to begin with, I cannot starve myself and expect to build muscle. Okay, so I went on with that a little bit longer than I meant to, but here's how it works with the Lose It app. You can decide within the app, you can customize whatever you want to focus on. My personal goals, and I'm just sharing this as an example, I'm not saying that this is what you need to do, but my personal goal is that I eat in a maintenance range for my body type. And so I eat about 2,000 to 2,200 calories per day, which, oh my gosh, I was terrified at first to intentionally eat that much food. I think it's very easy to probably eat 3,000 calories a day when you're just in what I like to call F it mode, where you're just like, screw it. I'm not going to be intentional about anything. I'm just going to eat whatever I want. You especially can get in that mindset on vacations, over holidays, or when you're going through a difficult time in your life. And you think that just by ignoring and not paying attention to what you're eating, that the calories don't exist. So I'm sure there's been times in my life where I've been eating 3,000, maybe even 4,000 calories a day. I have no idea. But to intentionally say to myself, I'm being really healthy by eating all this food, it really took a huge mindset shift for me. It was really difficult at first, but then when I saw how enjoyable it was like this weight had been lifted. So what I focus on, because I'm building muscle, is I focus on eating a specific amount of protein per day and a specific amount of fiber. And by focusing on those two particular, fiber isn't a macronutrient on its own. Your macronutrients are protein, carbs, and fat. But protein and fiber are both food items, I don't know if I'm using that word properly, that keep you really full and satisfied because it takes you longer to digest them. And they're really good for your body. Protein, especially as we age, is really important so that we don't lose that muscle mass. Being strong is just so important as we age. And I definitely was not eating enough, especially with the calorie restriction and, the way that I was plating my foods. I was definitely eating fiber, but I actually probably wasn't eating as much as I am now that I'm being intentional about eating fiber. I intentionally eat about 30 grams of fiber per day, and I eat about 130 grams of protein. And give or take, I also want to say I use these numbers as guidance. I don't freak out if I eat 110, 120 grams of protein or 150 grams of protein. It's like a range. And fiber, if I get in 20 grams of fiber or I get in 40 grams of fiber, it all evens out in the end. I just really aim to use those numbers as a guide to, light the path for me in the direction I want to go and, stay pretty close to those numbers, but I'm not trying to hit them on the nose every single day. So I focus on my protein, I focus on my fiber, and I focus on the daily number of calories that I eat. But I also listen to my body. For years, when I was following programs that were telling me you should be eating 5 to 6 small meals per day because that's going to be the best for speeding up your metabolism, which is totally false. I thought that I was going to get fat if I ate 3 big meals a day. And instead, I was forcing myself to eat these smaller meals. And you know what? I would be hungry. I would never really feel satisfied. I am someone that I've learned I really feel my best when I'm eating 3 really filling and satisfying meals per day. Because you know what happens when you're really getting full and satisfied with a meal? You stop obsessing over food. You stop. And well, at least I did. Okay. So what would happen when I was eating these smaller meals is an hour later, I'd be thinking about my next meal. Can I have a spoonful of peanut butter in between? And I was just never really feeling that satisfying feeling of eating a really nourishing meal. And now I eat a breakfast that's anywhere, I might eat between 500 and 700 calories just for my breakfast. And I am so full and satisfied. I'm not even thinking about food until at least 11:30, 11:45. And guess what? If I'm thinking about food at 11, then I'm going to go and have some lunch. I listen to my body when I'm eating my meal. When I get full, I stop eating. And I've really learned to listen to those internal cues rather than even looking at my tracker and being like, oh, I really should be eating another 100 calories. If I'm stuffed, I'm not going to force myself to eat another 100 calories. And that day, maybe I'm only eating 2,000 calories. But I think for me, it's a combination of having that guidance, because the other thing is too, our internal body chemistries, they're not going to be the exact same every single day. Especially as a woman, we get those cravings, and we have times that we're more hungry, more tired, more cranky throughout the month. And, maybe you did leg day, which is a day where your body is really looking for energy those are large muscles that you've really put a strain on so that you can build them up. So your body's going to be looking for more energy. So maybe you're a little bit hungrier on leg day. So I really use my tracker as a guide, and it's just really satisfying to look back on it, and you can really start to learn, oh, these are the meals that I really enjoy that keep me really full and satisfied. So let me make note of it. And the Lose It app also looks for those patterns for you and will kind of point out like, hey, I notice on the day that you have a protein smoothie that you tend to stick to your goals a little bit better, and you can really look for some insight there. You can track all kinds of things. You could track your blood pressure in it. It tracks my steps. It links with my Apple Watch. You can track your water. You can track your weight. And it's just a really great place to get started. I think especially if you're a beginner like I was with tracking macros, it was just really streamlined and easy for me. An app that for tracking macros that I also find really great is called Cronometer. And I just have the free version on my phone and I've played around with it, but that seems like a really great one as well. So maybe that's one that you want to check out. So I use Lose It. And then there's also an app called Cronometer. I spent a ton of time talking about this one, but I feel like out of all the apps that we're talking about here, this is probably most likely what most people would be interested in. Okay. Let me see here. Sorry, I have my notes because I knew this was going to be a really information-packed episode. So, okay, now that we've talked about the nutrition tracker apps, I wanted to mention how I streamline my grocery list from I'm in the kitchen, I open the fridge, I see we're low on milk. I want to make sure I get milk on my grocery list. So in our home, we do use the Alexa, and we use it for many things like many people, but I have one in my kitchen. And so I just make sure to tell it, add milk to my grocery list. And then I have an app called AnyList, and this, I believe, is only an Apple one, but I'm sure you could Google and see if there's something similar that you can do. But with AnyList, and it is an upgrade, I believe it's $7 to have the upgraded version of it. but I can have that list on my Apple Watch. So I use the Alexa app to connect to my AnyList. And then when I go to the grocery store, all I do is I click on the AnyList app in my watch and everything is there. I don't have to worry about even taking out my phone, which I love. If you don't have an Apple Watch, you can obviously just use the AnyList app on your phone, but it is so easy. And then with AnyList, it saves everything. So when you're going and making your grocery list again, you can just toggle to, add more lettuce, tomatoes, bread, whatever it is, and you can toggle off and on each week what you need more of, and it just makes things so easy. But I find speaking aloud the minute I know that I need to add something to my grocery list is just so helpful. I also do it when I'm doing my 15-minute meal planner. And I'll go and look at the ingredients that I need for the week, and I'll just speak out loud and say which ingredients to add. And it's just so easy. So that's how I streamline from making sure I get the information from my kitchen to the grocery store, and I don't forget anything on my grocery list. Okay. So next, let's talk about tracking your weight. And I want to say first off that I don't have a fancy scale. My scale literally just tracks weight in pounds, no body fat percentages. There's all like age, virtual age. I've seen a lot of stuff out there. After looking into it, thinking, oh my gosh, should I be getting one of these fancy schmancy scales? Like, is that going to help me? I decided it was a hard no. I thought that it was going to make me obsess and worry about information that actually probably isn't very accurate. Those scales are expensive. I think they're upwards of $50, and my scale, I think, was less than $20. So my scale, all I do is track my weight. And I am really loving an app called the Happy Scale app. And what I like about it is it tracks your rolling average. So just for example, I got on the scale this morning and I was up like a pound and a half, not a pound and a half. I was up a pound, a little bit over a pound from what I was yesterday. And even though I'm not actively trying to lose weight, I do weigh myself every day just as a check-in, just to, see where I'm at. And I obviously track those natural fluctuations with the foods that I eat. I can kind of see a correlation, or depending on what time of the month it is, and just see those natural fluctuations. So you can use the scale for any reason you want. And I'm just kind of trying to maintain where I am, but change my body composition. But I also want to make sure, I'm not gaining too much, losing too much. And I just want to make sure I have my finger on the pulse of where I am with my weight. But with the Happy app, it tracks that rolling average. So even though I was up a pound today, I could see that my average was actually staying the same. And I'm right on track. And honestly, that weight will probably come off within the next couple days. It's like not a big deal. You don't gain a pound of fat or lose a pound of fat overnight. It's just water weight. So that Happy Scale app really makes it easy to see that if you are losing weight, you can see your average weight this week is, 5 pounds less than it was a month ago. And you can see that progress, whereas it can be a little deflating and a bit of a mind F if you get on the scale and all of a sudden you're up 2 pounds. Well, it's just because maybe you had some food that was a little saltier. Maybe your period is coming in a few days, whatever. Like, don't freak out about it. Look at that progress that you've made. And the Happy Scale makes it really easy to see that, and totally free. I don't pay for anything to upgrade on that. I also really like the app called Weigh In, which graphs it out for you. And the Lose It app has a weight tracking section to it as well. So that's it with the weights. Another app type is workout apps. So it's really handy if you are traveling, or maybe you have to work out in another area of your house. Maybe you have house guests or something like that. Or maybe that's just the easiest way for you to have access to a workout is to use an app. And also, I use apps on my TV. My TV, I think it's called a smart TV, right? And sounds pretty simple, but YouTube is a great place to get free fitness. And right now I'm doing Carolyn Gervin, her workout series called Iron Series. I think she has maybe 8 or 10 different workout programs. She's awesome. Really, really enjoying her workouts. And I've also used the FitOn app, which is completely free. And what I really enjoyed on there myself was they have some yoga, some bars, some Pilates. You might see some familiar faces on there. They sometimes have celebrity guests and people, some of the Beachbody trainers in particular. I really love Vitas, who is a yoga instructor, and he has a whole program on the FitOn app, and he is amazing. So I've really enjoyed that app. And of course, the Beachbody On Demand app. We've been doing Beachbody workouts it was probably 15 years ago that my husband did P90X for the first time. And he's actually doing that program again right now, which it's so crazy. The workouts are like an hour to an hour and a half long, but he loves it. And it's so enjoyable to see him doing a workout program that he really, really loves. And that program is really a tried and true gold standard for home workouts. So we have a Beachbody On Demand membership. There's different levels of paying for it. It's not a free app. And I love the yoga studio in the Beachbody On Demand app, and Bar Blend, hands down, one of my favorite workouts. And Body Beast is an awesome, tried and true muscle building program. And in that app, you also have food options. And in the FitOn app, they also have recipes and stuff like that. To be honest, I didn't find the food stuff on the FitOn app to be I didn't ever make a recipe from on there. So there's a lot. These are only the ones that I've used. I'm sure there's so many out there. But if you're just looking to get started and you haven't really looked at anything, I think using something like FitOn can be a great way to just kind of dabble and see maybe what types of, we've talked about this, like find those workouts that you like. Like, do you want to do a dance workout? Do you want to do a strength training workout? Do you want to do a no equipment workout? And just kind of seeing what you like. And then as you start building on those habits, you can try new people. It was entirely new for me to try Carolyn Gervin, but I saw so many people talking about how she had really great strength training programs that were really simple and easy to follow. And that is totally my jam. I want things that are simple. The workout program that I'm doing is only 30-minute workouts, and that works perfectly for me. And the results that people get from her stuff is just mind-blowing. And I've gotten results myself doing this program, and I just love it. So try new things, see what you like, and there are plenty of free options out there. And honestly, I would pay for Carolyn Gervin's workouts because I think they're amazing. It's just an absolute gift that they're free on YouTube. So let's also talk about tracking your fitness progress. How can we do that? I personally use an app called Strong, just Strong, and it is a weight for tracking how much weight you're lifting during your strength training workouts. And it saves, for each move, say doing a Romania deadlift, when I type in that's what I'm doing, it will tell me, oh, last time you used 15 pounds, and do I maybe want to try using 17 and a half? It gets you thinking oh, can I challenge myself a little bit? And I've definitely done handwritten tracking with my weights. That's what I used to do. But January of this year, I just decided I wanted to try an app, and I'm actually really enjoying the app more than the handwritten. I did pay for the upgraded version. I don't know if you necessarily need to. I just wanted to be able to create my own exercises and templates and stuff like that. So that's why I paid for it. And I believe it was $30 I don't know if it was lifetime or if it was for a year. I'm not really sure. But I mean, $30 for an entire year, $3 a month, that's really, not a big deal, I don't think personally. But if it is for you, then maybe just use the free version. I just find it really inspires me to lift heavier to just see it when I log in. It's like, oh, I used only 15 pounds last week. Let me amp that up and really challenge myself. And it's just such a confidence builder. Okay, another app. I talk on here, I definitely mentioned the importance of mental health, and I've mentioned it before, but I use an app called Bloom, Bloom. And this is a cognitive behavioral therapy mental health app, and it's awesome. Whether you're having anxiety or specific fears around certain things, if you're having relationship problems, if you're stressed about finances, they just have this whole library of meditations and cognitive behavioral therapy sessions that you can just log in anytime you need to and just watch the videos. It's not a actual conversation with a person. They're pre-recorded videos or meditations, but I absolutely love it. They even have sleep-specific solutions that are just really, really great. So if you've been thinking, you just maybe want to add more meditation into your life or start changing some of your negative automatic thoughts or something like that, maybe that's something you should check out. Definitely does not replace professional mental health support. So if you're really struggling, please seek out professional guidance from your healthcare provider. But if you just want to level up, feel a little more calm, take more control of your thoughts, and get to know yourself a little bit better, highly, highly recommend checking out that app. An honorable mention, because I've talked about them to death in other episodes, but I did just want to mention, in case you have not listened to those episodes, the Trello app, I absolutely love. Google Tasks, absolutely love. Google Calendar. These are all apps I have on my phone. I love how Google Calendar and Google Tasks have a widget, so I can just look at my phone and immediately see, today's what I need to get done, what errands I need to run, what emails I need to send, whatever. It's just so great. So that's pretty much where I'm at with the best apps for keeping yourself organized and on track with your goals. If you have any that you love and you would love for me to share them on a future episode, definitely pop me an email, lil@liliuslewis.com, because in this community, that's what we're all about, sharing things that work and help streamline healthy habits and just make it easier to live healthy. So make sure to drop me an email. Thank you so much for listening, and I will be back with another episode for you next week. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of the Feel Your Best Formula podcast. If you haven't already, make sure to check the episode details for my new listener starter guide, and any additional resources mentioned in the episode can also be found in the show notes on my website. You can always find me on Instagram @macroswithlil, and for more healthy lifestyle tips, recipes, and information on my one-to-one and group coaching services, make sure to check out my website. All the links can be found below. If you know someone else who is ready to start building their formula for feeling their best, please share the love and send them the link to the podcast. I hope you found today's episode helpful, and I'll see you back here next week for a brand new one.